What is the electrical control panel? What do you understand by electric control panels? Okay. Now I will here I will play one video and I will explain all the things. Theory part you can read in the manual. Experiment 9 is also related to the control panel, right? But it some other things we will in addition we will read some other things in that. So first we will see the video for experiment number 8. Students, I'm turning on the video. I'm first I'm showing you the panel live in the lab, right? So can you see the panel, student?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
This is the panel, student, right? You can see. Okay. Okay, now I will explain what is in the panel. What is the this is the outer view. Okay, if there is so these are the LED indicating lamps. Red color you can see. Indicating lamps. This is red color, right? And you can see here, student. This is the voltmeter. V is written here. This is the ammeter. A is written here, right? These are the selector switches. Below the ammeter, there is a selector switch. Below the voltmeter, there is a selector switch. Okay. And these three LEDs shows the phases, right? Three phases are there: R phase, Y phase, B phase. Okay. So if R phase is active, if you connect the supply, you can supply this or LED with blue. Okay. Right? You have to blue phases. Now this voltmeter will show the phase voltages and current will show the phase currents. Right? Now, if you want to see the voltage or current for a particular phase, you can select that phase from this selector switch. Okay, then also written which phase you want to see, which voltage you want to see, voltage or ammeter, right? These are the MCBs. Okay, these are the MCBs. These are the LED configurations. Okay, now I will show you in which you will see all the things. The inside view also. The same panel, from the same panel, we record one video that you can see here.
Today we are going to see the performance of contactor. Contactor is an integral part of
Can you see the video as well as can you hear the audio, students?
induction motor, but the heart of any control panel is the contactor. How the contactor works, what is the logic behind the operation of contactor, what do you mean by the contactor?
The voice you can students, can you see the video
Yes, ma'am.
and voice is audible in video?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, dear students, so today we are going to see the performance of contactor. Contactor is an integral part of any motor starter panel. So experiment 9 is the different types of panels that we are going to use in case of induction motor, but the heart of any control panel is the contactor. How the contactor works, what is the logic behind the operation of contactor, what do you mean by the contacts, everything we would like to see in this experiment. At the same time, the control circuits, what we are going to see in case of experiment 9, the star delta starter and the DOL starter, in our laboratory we have a setup for them. So we will also show you the operation of direct online starter and star delta starter from the contactor perspective point of view. Here we are not going to put any real motor, but this is just the control logic understanding for this contactor based motor panel. So now let us concentrate on this piece of article. the thing what you see over here is nothing but the contactor. This is the contactor. This contactor is a three-phase contactor. Now, three-phase contactor in a sense that one side there will be incoming, other side there will be outgoing. Now, here at the top you see there are some indications that whether the contactor is on or off. Now, on the side of contactor, here where I am pointing, this is the coil. This is the terminal of the coil. So, this is first terminal, and on the opposite side there will be another terminal of the coil. So, there are two terminals of a coil. A coil is single between all three phases. Now, if you see the nameplate of this contactor, now if you concentrate on the nameplate of this contactor, the rating of the contactor is mentioned over here. So, it is a 415 volt contactor in this case. So, it's a motor contactor. Now, let us see the operation of contactor. So, now what we will do? We will energize this coil by a 230 volt supply, and when this coil terminals, one terminal is here, another terminal is here. So, whenever we give 230 volt, you will observe here that this contactor will pick up. So, whenever the supply is given, it will pick up, and whenever the supply is released, it will release itself. So, it is converted itself from normally open contact to normally closed contact, and once you release it, it will be from normally closed to normally open. So, now let us see the operation of contactor. So, now Ghanshyam bhai has a series test lamp. Now, this series test lamp, whenever we use this series test lamp has a voltage. So, he is putting a contacts on a contactor. Now, you see the contactor is operating. There is a chattering voice coming. So, he is continuously touching and let's say breaking the contact, making the contact and breaking the contact. So, when the supply is connected, it will be picked up. Whenever you release the supply, it will release itself. So, there is a spring coil mechanism inside it. Okay. Now, these contactors are used in starters. So, now here you see there are two setups which are there. This setup is a star delta starter setup. So, here you see there are total three contactors. Contactor number 1, contactor number 2 and contactor number 3. So, there are three contactors over here. This is the timer to set the timing from star to delta transition, and this is the overload relay. Meanwhile, make sure that this is just the control logic setup. We are not going to use any real motor over here. We will just show you how the motor is connected in star and delta from the contactor point of view. Now, if you come over here, the second setup is for a direct online starter. In direct online starter, as we have seen earlier, you only require one contactor. So, here you require one contactor over here. One is the incoming supply, one is the outgoing supply. This is the start push button, this is the stop push button. These are the coil terminals, these are the normally open contact, these are normally closed contact, and so on. So, now we will see the performance of this direct online starter contactor. So, whenever we press green button, that time the contactor will pick up and the lamp will glow. That means right now in place of motor, we have emulated the representation of motor as a lamp. So, now I just turn on this starter. Now it is on and you see the lamp is glowing. So, assume that this is in forward direction. Likewise, if I interchange the polarity of the RYB phases, reverse the polarity, then it will be RBY and it will something like a reverse rotation. But right now this is only the control circuit, and control circuit is running on 230 volt supply. So, only one phase supply we are using over here to just help you to understand the contactor logic. Now I turn it off. So, when I press stop push button, the contactor is off. Now let us go to star delta operation. In case of star delta operation, as I mentioned earlier, three contactors are there, 1, 2 and 3. One is a main contactor, one is a star contactor and another is a delta contactor. So, whenever we press start button, that time main contactor and star contactor will be picked up and the motor is running in star. This is the timer. So, timer will start counting as soon as you turn on the supply. Right now, if you see, the timer arrow is at 10 seconds. So this timer is going to typically operate between 8 to 10 seconds, and by 10 seconds the star contactor will turn off and the delta contactor will turn on along with the main contactor. So now let us see the operation. So you concentrate on the position of the starter, which two contactors are going to pick up. So you see this contactor and this contactor are picked up. These two contactors are picked up. Timer has already started. So now you see another sound. So here this contactor has turned off and this contactor is also on. So this is the main contactor, this is the star contactor, and this is the delta contactor. Initially star contactor and main contactor were picked up for 10 seconds, and after 10 seconds star contactor turned off and the delta contactor turned on. We will repeat this experiment for higher time. So let us turn off. Let us increase the time. So we increase the time from 10 to 20 seconds, and now we again repeat. So now you observe these two contactors will pick up and the timing has started. So approximately after 20 to 22 seconds this contactor will turn off and this contactor will turn on. So the motor will fall in delta connection. So let us wait for the time to get over. You observe this two position. Yes. Now this is in delta. So the delta contactor has picked up. Star contactor has turned off. Main contactor is as usual. It is permanently on. So this is the operation of star delta starter contactor logic. Thank you. Okay. Dear students, the performance of contactor. Contactor is an integral part of any starter.
Okay. So what you have seen in the video,